Hello everyone! I recently interviewed my mother about her stories that she briefly mentioned before, and in turn she told me about the stories her mother told her. These stories not only helped me learn more about their experiences, but it also helped me learn more about the history of Taiwan. These stories are about my grandmother's experience living under Japanese rule and the February 28 incident that occurred after Taiwan was returned to Chiang Kai-shek's Kuomintang Party, and when Chiang Yi's administration came to Taiwan. To start off, Taiwan was under Japanese rule for 50 years, from 1859 to 1945. When my grandmother was a child, one thing she remembers clearly is how often the Japanese soldiers marched around her neighborhood to watch out for their hygiene and cleanliness. They would check their kitchens and yards to make sure the people were keeping their living shelters clean and to see whether they met these standards. In addition, the Japanese government prevented the people from hunting boars, cows, or any livestock because killing these animals would result in a lot of blood, making the neighborhood unhygienic and dirty. And the Japanese government kept the communities very orderly. My grandmother remembered that when she was a kid, she would go to the front of the village with her friends to watch out for the Japanese soldiers. When the Japanese soldiers came to check on them, they would run back in the village to warn the other villagers about the soldiers so they wouldn't be caught killing livestock. To this day, she still laughs when she thinks about her experiences when she was a child. After the Second World War, from 1939 to 1945, the Japanese lost. So in the aftermath of the war, the terms included that Japan had to return Taiwan back under the rule of the Kuomintang Party. Initially, the citizens in Taiwan were very excited and happy. During the Japanese rule, they felt like they couldn't really connect to the Japanese culture and the government. However, upon hearing that Taiwan was going to be under the KMT Party's rule, they felt like they were finally in the right place and back at home, like they could finally connect and actually relate to their government. However, the Taiwanese soon realized that things were getting worse than when the Japanese had ruled over them. The Chiang Yi administration that arrived in Taiwan was incredibly corrupted, and the soldiers that were brought over from the mainland were poorly educated and famous for their looting. In addition, people lost their jobs due to nepotism in Chiang Yi's administration and the mainlanders taking the jobs of the local Taiwanese. Inflation also rose, making common goods such as rice very expensive. One significant event that occurred under the corruption of Chiang Yi's administration is the February 28 incident, or 228 as we say in Chinese. On February 27, 1947, a woman named Lin Jiangmei was selling cigarettes illegally in a park in Taipei when two agents under Chiang Yi's administration took her money and struck her in the head. This angered the onlookers, which resulted in a demonstration of roughly 2,000 protesters that occurred the next day, February 28. This protest led to a lot of conflict between the local Taiwanese and the mainlanders, and this eventually led to Chiang Kai-shek sending reinforcements from the mainland to fix the rebellion. In addition, the martial law was also reinstituted. And the conflicts, as well as the massacres that followed, resulted in a lot of deaths. From my mother, I learned that my great-grandfather, or my mother's grandfather, was the health director at Wufeng Hospital. One day, a wounded soldier came by his hospital for help. However, after he helped him, a few days later my great-grandfather was arrested and tried, and they said that he was arrested for helping a rebel. My great-grandfather later learned that the soldier was actually escaping to return back to his home in the mainland, and a lot of young boys around the ages of 17 and 18 were forced to be soldiers and sent to Taiwan by the KMT, or Kuomintang Party. However, this soldier got caught and was shot when he was escaping. My great-grandfather and his family felt very wronged, since after all, he was an upright man. In addition, he was just doing his job. Like with their experience, the February 28 incident holds a special place in lots of people's hearts and lives, resulting in a lot of grief and sadness. And the 228 incident will be remembered for a very long time. From these stories, I learned a lot more about Taiwan's history, and I hope you did too from watching this video. And I'm very thankful for this experience, and I really enjoyed interviewing my mother. Thank you!